Okay, let's take a look at Nebius stock, one of the AI cloud computing providers. And this is a very interesting chart. So let's draw in firstly a parallel channel. If we connect the highs here that we had in the past and we run it through here, what you're going to see is that the stock has seemingly been trading in this sort of a parallel channel for quite some time. You had a massive wick out of it as traders and buyers got very excited for the potential for a parabolic move out of the channel, but you did eventually come back in and we're now in this range here, consolidating. Price is now going to probably decide where it wants to go next. Now, one very interesting thing that I'm seeing here on this chart, it does look to me like you are very much respecting the midpoint of this parallel channel in some way. It seems price, after getting an initial move up back in August of 2025, you sort of chopped around here a little bit, and when it was confirmed that you had enough support here at the midpoint, you then had this parabolic move upwards. And to me, that signals that it is very important that this particular trend line holds. So the midline of the parallel channel is very important. And of course, if you break below that, then you're expecting to go to the bottom of the parallel channel here, which would be around $34 or so currently, trending up over time. So currently we kind of have to favor the bullish case in some way. You have this big move up and then we are now consolidating, which is typical of a sort of bull flag type pattern. And you can see here I've drawn in the current range that price is trading between. So we would expect, if we want bullish continuation here, we want the price to break above this parallel channel that we're currently trading in. You know, we would want to hopefully get back up here and be able to break higher and go beyond this recent peak that we've had in the stock price. If you're not able to do all of that, then you are looking at what is quite possibly a bit of a distribution going on. I could imagine price maybe getting some kind of false breakout, getting a double top, something like this, before coming back in and then maybe heading lower to the bottom of the channel. That's something to consider. So for the moment, the momentum is not overly bullish nor bearish. We're sort of just trading in this range and waiting to see if price can head back higher and retest these previous highs. Now, of course, there are some gaps that we've left behind on the chart. And you know me, I like to always draw in the gaps just so I can be aware of where price could, in theory, head to in the future to fill the gaps. Of course, we've got a gap down here, perhaps around this $64 level or so would be a pretty good level. Of course, that was previously where price traded around the midpoint of the parallel channel. You may even go a bit lower here because there is another gap down around $55 or so, $56. But remember what I said before, if you do break below the midline here, I would imagine you're actually heading all the way back down to the bottom of the parallel channel. While you might get some small bounces from these yellow levels that I've drawn in, I wouldn't take them as gospel, and they are potentially breakable at some point. Likewise, we do have seemingly some gaps on the chart even lower down here at levels such as $30 and perhaps even lower, maybe as low as $23 or so, $22.7. So I could imagine that you can get down to these prices in theory, particularly if there is a very nasty market environment and maybe you put in some kind of a double bottom around these previous levels that we've had that were very strong support for the stock, perhaps even as low as $18. Something like this would probably be quite strong support in the future. Now, of course, if you do break down from this particular parallel channel, that is going to signal an end of this massive uptrend that you've had over the past several years on the stock. So technically speaking, that would be quite concerning. Right now, we're very much focused on, as I said already, the near-term pattern that we're trading in here with this potential bull flag. If it breaks up to the upside, that could be very bullish for the stock. But likewise, if you're breaking to the downside, then of course we've got targets at the bottom of the parallel channel. So that's essentially the outlook on Nebius. The momentum indicator is currently not showing that you're in a bearish regime yet, nor is there a sell signal. There could be a sell signal coming in the future, though. If you had a bit more negative price action, then you would imagine we would be anticipating a regime flip and heading to a bearish regime as we head back down to the bottom of the parallel channel. So very much up in the air at the moment. Could be breaking up higher, could be breaking down lower, range bound, and I think going to depend on how the market is moving in general and how other cloud computing stocks are doing, and even how the earnings and whatnot go for the stock. But I don't feel very confident predicting a direction either way. Of course, the regime is currently bullish and you're sort of holding these levels, so we probably have to slightly favor the bullish outlook, but I would be a little bit concerned about the future heading down to the bottom of the parallel at some point, depending on future price moves. And one bonus chart that I can show you, this is the Nebius over the SPY, and you can see here we've got some kind of a double top potentially in play. You had reached these levels on this ratio back in 2020, and we have now, got there essentially. So perhaps this is even a parallel channel of some kind that's in play, and we've wicked above it, and now we're back in. So you could imagine that there might be underperformance compared to the S&P of around 77% to the downside. That would be a very, very Worst case scenario, if you are anticipating that this ratio does trend down back to the bottom of this, of course, there's still room to go all the way up here on the ratio. And if you wanted to be more of an optimist on the ratio, I would be drawing in a parallel channel, something like this, and you may come back up to the top here before then heading back down potentially. And in that case, you might have an outperformance further of 61% compared to the S&P. So again, quite a mixed picture on Nebius. I don't really feel comfortable calling it to the downside or the upside personally, and I wouldn't be trading the stock myself. But if you are in the name, this is all the information that I have for you basically. Wait and see what price does. If it goes up, then you could have a bullish continuation, and if not, then definitely I would be watching the middle of this parallel channel, currently sitting around $72 or so, as a potential major level of support, and if you break that, then that could be a bad sign to the downside. So those are the levels I'm looking on the stock. I hope that's helpful for anyone in Nebius or interested in this particular name. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Subscribe as always for more daily charts, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.